Shabbat Shalom. Sounds okay to me? Okay. When my head is down, it's a little different. But I think between the two of these mics, I'll probably be okay. Shabbat Shalom, Boker Tov, good morning. Thank you for joining me to daven together. We'll begin this morning on page 101 in our Sidurim, page 101. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Israel. We'll turn to page 103 for Birkot HaShachar, the morning blessings. I'll invite you to rise if you're able to do so comfortably. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'ivina lahavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani betzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten li'ayef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir she'na me'na t'muna me'af apai v'hi ratzon me'afanecha. Adonai Eloheinu v'le'amonim. Utneinu hayom uv'chol yom lecheinu chesed u'rachamim beinecha u'beinei choroenu v'tigmalenu chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. You can be seated. We'll turn to page 112 for the Psalm for Shabbat. Hayom yom Shabbat kodesh shebo hayu halevim omrim bevein hamikdash mizmor shir Le'yom HaShabbat tov lahodot l'Adonai u'zamer l'shimcha yom nagid b'poker chastecha ve'emunatcha b'aleil l'ralei asar b'leil. Tzadik atah amar yifrach Ke'erez balevanon yiskashatulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yanuvun beseva Deshenim vera'ananim yehiyu lehagin ki ashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avla tabo. Page 120. Mizmor shir Chanukat habayit leDavid Arumcha Adonai gedili tani v'osimach torei. הפכת מספרי למחולי, פיתחת שקי ותעזרני שמחה, למען יזמרך כבוד ולא ידום, Adonai Elohai le'olam odeka. We turn to 122. We'll rise for Baruch She'amar. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Sever Ship Baruch Hu Mervi Osa Baruch Hu Zerim Kaim Baruch Merchem al ha'aretz Baruch Merchem al ha'berion Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yachid Chai Ha'olamim Melech Meshubach Umfoar Adei Ad Shemo HaGadol Baruch atah Adonai Melech Mula Batish Bachod. You can be seated top of 123. Hodu l'Adonai Kiru Vishmo Hodu Vami Malilo Tav Shir Lo Zamr Lo Sekvon Vitav Lo B'Shem Kol Zaklan Dirshu Adonai V'Zav Akshu Fanav Tamid Zichron Mavtav Mishpatei Pizer Yisrael Avdam B'nei Yaakov B'Chirav Hu Adonai Eloheinu B'Chol Ha'aretz Mishpatav Zichron Mena. Ki gadol Adonai hula me'on v'nora hu al kol Elohim ki kol Elohei amim elilim v'Adonai shamayim asa. Second paragraph on 124. Hod v'hadar lefanav oz v'ched v'abim kamo havul Adonai mishpachot amim havul Adonai kavod v'oz havul Adonai kavod shemo zemin havul Adonai v'shachol aftikon. Ramamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahadom raglav kadoshu. Ramamu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu v'hu rachum yechaper avon v'lo yashchid v'hir bala hashiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamato atah Adonai lo tichlachamech mimeni chas techa v'amitecha tamid yitzurun tzachor achman hagim elam ramik toshecha yizurun Adonai Tzevaot Ashrei Adam Boteach Bach Adonai Hoshia Melech Yaneinu V'yom Koreinu Hoshia et Amecha Uvarech et Nachalatecha Urei Menasai Manan Rav Shenu Chikta Adonai Zorin Kiva Yismach Lemini Kiva Shem Kodshavan Yichal Kasher Yichal Nuah. Vani b'chastecha v'tachti yageli bi b'shuatecha ashir al Adonai ki gamal alai. We'll turn to page 130, the last two lines of Psalm 91. Orach yamim aspiyehu ve'arehu b'shuati. 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 We'll turn to page 135. Yehi chavod Adonai le'olam, yismach Adonai b'masa, yishem rachmet aver olam yizrach shemash. Ad meval mula sheman rama kol goyim Adonai b'shemana kingdom b'chol mashal, yismach v'shemayim v'tagel aretz v'yim ravagoyim Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai melech le'olam, Adonai melech. Adonai hefir atzat goyim eniyam, Moshe v'lev shivat tzat, Adonai hitakom atzat v'lev tamal ma'ashivam l'bol l'dor Adonai. Ve'hu rachum yechaper avon v'lo yashchit, ve'hir bala hashiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamato. Adonai Hoshia, hamelech yaneinu, ve'yom koreinu. 136. Ashrei oshrei ve'techa, od yehalilu chasel, ashrei ha'am shekachalo, ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai lo hav, tehila lev, taminer mimcha ma'am. Tehillat Adonai Yedaber Pi Vivarak Basar Shem Godshol Olam Va'ed Va'anachnu Nevarech Ya Me'ata V'ad Olam. Hallelujah. We turn to the top of page 141 for Psalm 150. Hallelujah, 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 Bekodsho, hallelujah, hallelujah, Birkia Uzo. Hallelujah, 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 Vigvorotav, hallelujah, hallelujah, Kerov Gudlo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, B'teka shofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, B'nevel v'chinor. Hallelujah, 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 B'tof umachor. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'minim va'ugav. Hallelujah, 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 v'tziot le'shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, v'tziot le'teruah. Kol haneshama tehallel. Kol haneshama tehallel. Kol haneshama tehallel. Hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallel. Hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen. Baruch Adonai Mitzion Shochem Yerushalayim, Hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Elohim Melech Baruch Shem Kevodo Le'olam, V'yimalech V'oro Kol Haaretz, Amen ve'Amen. We rise top of 142. V'yivarech David, et Adonai L'nei Kol Kahal, V'yomer David, Baruch Atah Adonai Elohei Yisrael Avinu Me'olam V'olam. V'chadna Abdullah V'gvura V'divrei B'nei Tzevim Yom. Atahu Adonai ha'Elohim asher bacharta be'Avram v'hotzeto me'or kastim v'samta shemo Avraham u'matzata et levavo ne'eman lefanecha v'charot imo habrit latet et eret ha'kanani achiti emori v'aprizi v'yivusi v'girgashi latet lezaro v'tegem be'vraka kitzadikata v'ateret onim v'tenim v'matzim v'tenim. V'hayam bakata lifneihem v'yavru b'toch hayam b'yabasha v'et rodfeihem yishlach tavim tzolot kimo even b'mayim azim v'yosha Adonai b'yom hahu et Yisrael miyad Mitzrayim v'yar Yisrael Mitzrayim medas batayim v'hayar Yisrael tayad gdola asher as Adonai b'Mitzrayim v'yiruham et Adonai v'yaminu b'Adonai uv'Moshe avdo. Az Yashir Moshe uvenei Yisrael et Ashira Hazot Ladonai v'Yimru Limor Ashir Ladonai ki Goga Asus Verocho Rama v'Yem Ozi v'Zimar Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'tikach Miriam haneviyah achot Aharon et hatof beyada v'tetzena kol hanashim achareha betupim uvimcholot v'atan lehem Miriam shir l'Adonai ki ga'o ga'a sus v'rach v'orama v'yam Ki l'Adonai mulcha Moshe b'goyim v'alu Moshe b'hartzion lishpot et har Esav v'hayeta l'Adonai hamelucha v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom ha'ui Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You can be seated. We're at the top of 145. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu v'ruach kol basar tefer titrom zichra moken tamid min alam machantel mibaladechen lanu melech olam Moshiach podel matzilim parnes merkabot zeravat zukain lanu melech ela ata Elohei shemanu hamar amar namanim Shni Mahamekitzri Nami Mahamezielchi Mimamatir Asarim Vasmachnom Limos Okay Kefilim Lachalavat Chanachnom Modim Ilufinu Malashira Kayam Oshnei Kamonga Basiftoten Shabbat Kamerchavera Kevin Inimir Kashmar Shecharech Leadenu Peruso Kenishrai Ushamayim Arglen Kolata Mi melach umi ishvelach umi arochlach Hayel hagadol hagibor v'anora el Elyon koneh shamayim v'aretz nehalel chan shabechecha unfeirchan v'rechat shem kodshecha kamor leDavid barchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol keravai et shem kodsho Hayel batatu motuzecha Hagadol bichavod shemecha Hagibor lanetzach v'hanora benorotecha Hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisan. This concludes Psukei de Zimra, the preliminary service. We continue with Shacharit, the morning service, page 147, the 6th line. Shochen ad marom Oh, Shemo, v'chatu brananu tzadikim Adonai la'yishrim navanu. B'fi esharim tithalal, uv'divrei tzadikim titbarach, uv'yelshon chasidim titromam, uv'kerev kedoshim titkadash, uv'makalot rivavot, Amacha Beit Yisrael, Barinayit Parshim Chamalkeinu B'chol Dor V'Dor. Shekein Chovat Kol HaYitzurim Lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohei Avoteinu Lahodot, Lehalel, Leshabeach, Lefaer, Leromem, Lahader, Levarech, Le'aleh, Ulkales Al Kol Divrei Shirot V'Tishbechot David ben Yishai Avdecha Meshichecha. We rise 148. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu Ela Melchim G'nabon Shvan Rabbi Kilachan Elashir. Berachot v'hodaot me'ata v'ad olam baruch atah Adonai El melech gadol batishbachot El hahodaot Adon haniflaot habocher b'shirei zimra melech elchei ha'olamim. You can be seated. We continue at the top of 150. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hakol yoducha, vehakol yeshabechucha, vehakol yomru en kadosh kadonai, hakol yiramimucha zeh yoter hakol. Halam b'dech liyum do tocharim mizrach v'kechel. אין קרקך ואין זולתך, אפס ביותך ומידו מלך. אין קרקך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס ביותך גואלנו לימות המשיח, ואין זו מלך המושיענו לתחיית המתים. אל אדון על כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם דעת ותבונה סובב עמותו. המתגאה על חיות הקודש ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני חיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו. טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל. מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נעזיבם בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהם הרצון קונם. פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמותו, לעברינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אורה, והתקין צורת הלבנה. שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ויופנים וחיות הקודש. לאל אשר שבת מכל המעשים ביום השביעי לעבר שבת, כזה כבוד תפארת ליום המנוחה, עונג קרא ליום השבת, השבח של יום השביעי שבשבת המקום למקום יום השביעי. טוב להודות לנביא כך יברו ויברכו לאל כל יתברך שבח יבנו. תתברך מושיענו על שבח מעשה ידך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפרוך הסלע. Top of 153. תתברך צורנו, מלכנו וגואלנו, בורא קדושים. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים בהמה ובירא רצון קונם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים, ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם ומלכות שמיים זה מזהב, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליותרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנעימה קדושה, כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, לאל ברוך נעימות תיתנו מלכי וקיים זמרנו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. 154. אהבה רבה אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו אבינו מלכנו בעבור אבותינו, שבטחו וחבטתם דמכו כחיים. יחד לבן אלי ועלה את שמך, ולנבוש לילה כי בשם חודש Vavienu leshalom, merba konfotaret, vetolichenu, kamamiu leartzenu, kiel poal Yeshuot ata, uvanu vacharta mikolam velashon, vekeravtanu, leshimcha hagadol sela bemet, lehodot lecha, ulyachedcha be'ahava, baruch ata Adonai, habocher be'emo Yisrael be'ahava, el melech ne'eman. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvchol nafshecha uvchol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam Beshivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha v'haya im shamad shemot nasher nechem daven. Lador vador kayam ushmo kayam vechiso nachon umalchuto ve'emunato lahad kayamed udvarav chayim v'kayamim nemanim v'nechmanim lad. Emet shatahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu Malkeinu melech avotenu, go'alenu go'el avotenu, yotzreinu tzor yeshuatenu, podenu matzilenu me'olam shemecha, ein Elohim zulatecha, ezrat avotenu, atahu me'olam. Again, Moshe ibn Aaron. Tahilot le'el elyon barachum vorach Moshe Miriam uvenei Yisrael lecha anu shira besimcha rabba v'yameru chulam mechamaucha ba'elim Adonai Mikamocha nedar bakodesh נורא תהילות אוספן לשירה חדשה שיבחו גאולה לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם עוזבים לכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד הנאי נאי הנאי נאי הנאי נאי 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 צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ובתחינו מך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה Adonai Gal Yisrael. We'll begin the Amidah together, reciting the first two brachot out loud. Following that, you'll skip the Kedusha and continue on your own silently. Page 159. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Hakol ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'Nehem למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד. מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים אתה קדוש ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש ישמח משה במענך על כל בידינו Let's say, I don't know, him, I'm Kaiser, I'm Vitka, I'm a Shemet, I'm the Techazan, I ain't in a Mishwat, I'm Modim, Anna, Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen. We're going to turn to our laning for this week. This week we read Parshat Ki Tisa. If you're in our Chumashim, it begins on page 523. If you are reading out of a different book, this is Exodus chapter 30, beginning with verse 11. This week the Parsha is Ki Tisa, but this Shabbat is called Shabbat Para, Shabbat of the cow. And one of the reasons, well, we have a separate maftir reading for this Shabbat, for Shabbat Para, which we read about the law of the Para Aduma, the red heifer, but it's also Shabbat Para, and these two things connect because this week's Parsha, which is always after Purim, leading up to Pesach, has the story of the golden calf, the Egel Hazahav, and so those two narratives come together for Shabbat Para this year. I'll begin. The beginning of the Parsha actually doesn't have the piece about the golden calf. We'll get there later on, and then I'm going to speak about something connected to that as well. This is 523, Exodus chapter 30, verse 12. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor ki tisa et rosh b'nei Yisrael lifkudehem v'natenu ish kofer nafsho l'Adonai bifkodotam v'lo yevahem negef bifkodotam zeh yitnu kol ha'over al ha'pekudim machatzit ha'shekel b'shekel ha'kodesh Esrim Geira HaShekel Machatzit HaShekel Teruma Ladonai Kol HaOver Al HaPekudim Mi Ben Esrim Shana V'Mala Yiten Terumat Adonai Ha'ashir Lo Yarbe V'Hadal Lo Yamit Mi Machatzit HaShekel Latet Et Terumat Adonai Lechaper Al Nafshotechem V'Lakachta Et kesef hakipurim me'at b'nai Yisrael v'natata oto al avodat ohel moed v'haya livnei Yisrael zikaron lifnei Adonai lechaper al nafshotechem v'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor v'asita kior nechoshet v'chano nechoshet lerochza v'natata oto ben ohel moed uve'ein hamizbeach V'natata shama mayim v'rachatzu Aharon avanav mimenu et yedehem v'et raglehem bevo'am el ohel moed yirchatzu mayim v'lo yamutu o begish tam el hamizbeach lesharet lahaktir ishe l'Adonai v'rachatzu yedehem v'raglehem v'lo yamutu V'hayta lahem chokolam lo uzaro lidorotam. Adonai spoke to Moshe saying, when you take a census of the Israelite people according to their enrollment, each shall pay the Lord a ransom for himself on being enrolled, that no plague may come upon them through their being enrolled. This is what everyone who is entered in the records shall pay. A half shekel by the sanctuary weight 20 geras to the shekel, a half shekel as an offering to Adonai. Everyone who is entered in the records from the age of 20 years up shall give the Lord's offering. The rich shall not pay more, and the poor shall not pay less than half a shekel, when giving the Lord's offering as expiation for your persons. You shall take the expiation money from the Israelites and assign it to the service of the tent of meeting. It shall serve the Israelites as a reminder before the Lord, as expiation for your persons. The Lord said to Moses, saying, make a laver of copper and a stand of copper for it, for washing, and place it between the tent of meeting and the altar. Put water in it, and let Aaron and his sons wash their hands and feet in the water drawn from it. When they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water that they may not die. Or when they approach the altar to serve, to turn into smoke a gift to the Lord, they shall wash their hands and feet that they may not die. It shall be a law for all time for them, for him and his offspring throughout the ages. You can hear from this that we are still in what I've been calling Mishkan Torah, in the parts of the Torah that are about the instructions for building the Mishkan and the way that the Israelites actually build it. Though this week we get a little bit of a detour from that with the narrative of the golden calf that I'll get to speaking about. I want to tell you first about a type of bowl that I've always found to be particularly fascinating. There's a Japanese bowl called a Konsugi Bowl. It's often featured in museums and private collections around the world. And these Konsugi Bowls have had their fair share of life. They've been broken and they've been repaired. The interesting part for me about Konsugi Bowls is that when they break, its pieces are not put together with crazy glue or attempting to hide the cracks, but rather they are put back together with pure gold, literally illuminating the cracks and the broken pieces. Collectors know that cracks in authentic Konsugi bowls are actually the brokenness of use, of life. The brokenness of these bowls, of these pieces of art, is acknowledged as a part of their history and their value. These bowls aren't seen with any type of decreased value once the cracks are illuminated, but the cracks are highlighted as a way to acknowledge the current form of the bowl and everything that it's been through. This morning, in Parshat Ki Tisa, we encountered our own tradition's broken pieces in the set of tablets that Moshe shatters upon seeing the golden calf that the Israelites built. It's one of the most famous stories we have in Tanakh. God has finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai and has given Moses the tablets with the commandments, which the Torah tells us were written be'etzba Elohim, by the finger of God. Moses goes down the mountain with those two tablets in his arms, and as he descends, he hears singing. He gets closer and beholds the celebration and dancing around a golden calf that the Israelites have constructed in his absence. He hears the voices of blasphemy from the people. They have constructed the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf, and in a fit of rage, Moses hurls the tablets on the ground, and they shatter at the foot of the mountain. The Torah tells us, Vayar Moshe et ha'am ki paruahu. Moses saw that the people were exposed. They were caught in the act, vulnerable from the sin they knew they wrongly committed. The brokenness of the tablets mirrors the brokenness of the people, and especially of Moshe in this moment. There is so much pain here. I imagine Moshe is in pain, feeling a sense of betrayal. The people are in pain, the pain of realizing they did something wrong, the pain of betraying their leader and their God, and the pain of figuring out how to pick up the pieces and make it better. And I imagine that God is most certainly in pain. Having written God's words on the tablets for the people that God cared so much about, only to have these people worship some construction, some idol, the most egregious act of disloyalty that the Israelites could possibly commit. The very same Israelites who witnessed the miracles that God performed in Egypt and now in the wilderness. The brokenness of the tablets are a type of physical manifestation of the brokenness of the people. And it's hard to imagine how we move upwards from a moment like this. The very place where the people had become totally broken spiritually, the very place where the law is supposed to hold the Israelites together, it is physically broken. So what do we do with the broken pieces? And more specifically, where do we put them? The Talmud teaches that the broken tablets were not discarded and were not simply ignored and left at the foot of the mountain. Rather, the shattered tablets were put directly inside the Ark of the Covenant, alongside the new set of tablets. The Midrash asks us, what happened to those broken tablets at that point? Rabbi Judah bar Eli taught that the two arks journeyed with Israel in the wilderness, one in which the Torah was kept and one in which the tablets broken by Moses were kept. The one in which the Torah was placed was kept in the tent of meeting. The other, containing the broken tablets, would come and go with them. The broken tablets would come and go with them at all times. From this, we can infer that the broken tablets are also special and treasured by the people, that they took them wherever they traveled, just as we take the broken parts of ourselves with us wherever we go. There is another tradition that the broken and the intact tablets were placed side by side in the same ark. But in any case, clearly, they value what is broken. They keep it with them. Instead of neglecting the brokenness, instead of forgetting Moses' error and the great sin of the people, the broken tablets remain with the community as they travel towards the promised land. And not just with the community, but the Ark of the Covenant, which houses both sets of tablets, travels at the center of the community, surrounded by the Israelites as they move forward on their journey. The brokenness is woven into the fabric of the Israelites' new identity as a free people, not just shoved under the rug. That which is broken, that which is scarred, that which is not whole, receives the same level of kavod, of honor, as the new and improved set of tablets. Both are holy and necessary. What feels key to me here is that the rabbis don't focus on the fact that it was their brokenness or their wrongdoing. They know we all experience different types of brokenness, all kinds of pain. And whatever it is that is our brokenness, it travels with us. The late theologian, Rabbi Neil Gilman of JTS, has his own name for the broken set of tablets, what he calls sacred fragments, in his book by the same title. Gilman explains, "We know that we can never discard the fragments of old, however inadequate they would be to lose our link with our community. And without a community, where and who would we be? We must refashion our new tablets precisely out of the fragments of old. Not only must we hold and cherish our broken tablets, but we must understand them as sacred fragments. And in doing so, we can harness them in order to move forward and develop as a community. To throw out, to discard the shattered tablets would be to throw out part of our history. To deny our brokenness would be to create a false, unrealistic identity that likely won't bring us closer to God or each other. Instead, these pieces, even pieces we desperately wish weren't a part of our lives, can be essential components of how we move forward. We read this parasha, Parshat Ki Tisa, last year on March 14th. We have made it one full Torah reading cycle since we stopped gathering as a community in person. And I've been feeling such a mix of emotions as I reflect on that. It has been a year. As we are seeing more and more people receive the vaccine, we are starting to see the light at the end of this dark tunnel for our world and our community. And with that light, we are granted the gift of vision, granted the privilege of thinking about the future, which has been challenging when we could barely think about the present. There is an instinct to only plan forward, to be grateful that we will finally be out of the woods, finally be able to be together. But I am reminded that we carry the brokenness of this time with us, that we carry, and therefore we must acknowledge the tolls that this has taken on our community, the losses that we've suffered, the hands we couldn't hold, and the loneliness that so many felt. Our job is not to rush forward, grateful that we can have a different year ahead, but to move forward with the pain of the past, intentionally honoring what this has been for each of us. We all hold pieces of ourselves that are broken from the past year, whether they be physical or spiritual or both. And we all experience that brokenness differently, more or less acutely at different points in our lives. Each of us has struggled, experienced challenges and limitations. But the beauty of community, the beauty of synagogue, is that just as the Israelites carried the sacred fragments of those first sets of tablets with them in the wilderness, the beauty of this space is that it is meant to hold what is broken and what is whole. We can move forward as a community and honor that which has been broken. We learn from the Ark of the Covenant, which housed those tablets, that it was the only part of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, that was built by the entire community together. The walls, the altar, the menorah, for every other piece of the Mishkan, the commandment that God offers is in the singular, you shall make. But for the ark, God commands, they shall make. It includes the entire community, not just one single person. Creating a space that is welcoming both of that which is whole and that which is broken is the sacred work of collective in community. As friends, as a community, as Jews, we experience highs and lows, moments of fragmentation and moments of wholeness. And we can't separate the two, which is part of the beauty of this collective. The synagogue is where we mourn, but it is also where we celebrate. As with the Japanese Konsugi Bowls, to create a Jewish space is to illuminate the cracks, the history, the challenges, recognizing and embracing the brokenness, not discarding it and not ignoring it. And so too, just like at a Jewish wedding, one of the greatest moments of joy in the life of a couple, a glass is smashed under the chuppah, recognizing the brokenness of our past and our present in an effort to build a more whole future. We will move forward, and we will thrive, and we will grow. But all of us, we must take the brokenness with us, alongside us. As art historian Christy Bartlett wrote, these Konsugi Bowls reflect a certain philosophy. There's no attempt to hide the damage or the broken bowl, but the brokenness is literally illuminated. She writes, the vicissitudes of existence over time, to which all humans are susceptible, could not be clearer than in the breaks, the knocks, and the shattering to which ceramic ware too, is subject. None of us is whole without those cracks and the breaks and the knocks. None of us as individuals or as a community can move forward without bringing our cracks with us. So we must figure out how to grow, how to have vision. When we acknowledge the two sets of tablets we always carry with us. May we have the capacity to open our hearts, making room within ourselves and within our community to hold both the broken and the whole side by side on our journey. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. 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 We'll now offer a Mishaberach for Cholim, a prayer for all who are ill. I invite you again to recite names of those out loud that you'd like to send some blessing towards, blessings of healing, of body, of spirit. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim et V'yet Hayden Adams, Dafka Ashkenazi, Ami Ashkenazi, Tal Ashkenazi, Eileen, Carol Battleman, Helen Beavers, Ricky Beavers, David Bennett, Janice Berlin, Brody Brayman, Donna Brigham, Beverly Cassius, Sandy Catania, Isabel Cohen, Jill Cohen, Nathan Cohen, Deborah Elbert, Howard Fetter, Tom Gadberry, Mimi Grossman, Joe Hetzel, Harold Herlick, Marvin Jacobson, Austin Cabot, Dan Lawrence, Aaron Lelkov, Robert Lipson, Michelle Mann, Mark Mathias, Gary Murray, Alan Nadell, Marcia Nodowich, Santa Panton, Glenn Rainbow, Emily Schauman, Darlene Shefsky, Lisa Shipowitz, Bud Squarupa, Jean Steit, Susan Stein, Pat Stevens, Tom Stevens, Rachel Siegel-Strauss, Edna Wiener, Sarah Whaley, Rita Witt, Rodney Wolf, Debbie Yang, Schana Zero, Bat Esther Elka, Bat Nachama, Sarah Malka, Bat Yosef Adora Bela, Malka Simcha Tova, Bat Gidel, Moshe Ben Rachel, Rachaman Ben Sora, Rachel Sarah Bat Leah, Yaakov David Ben Zavori, Israel Eliyahu Ben Leah, Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yamale Rachamim Alehem, Lahachzikam Urapotam Vishlach Lehem, Mehera Rifuah Shlema Min HaShamayim, Rifuat HaNefesh, Rifuat HaGuf, B'tok Shar HaCholim, V'chazek Et Yedei HaOskim B'tzorchehem, Shabbati Mili Zok Urfa Kurva Levo, Hashta Bagalav Izman Kariv, V'nomar Amen. Elna refana lanu, Elna refana lanu, Elna refana lanu, refuah shelema. We'll turn towards rounding out our service today with Ein Keloheinu on page 204. Page 204. En Keloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemalkeinu, Michemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Sheiktiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Ketoret Asamim, Yanai, 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 Yanai. Page 205. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה יקרו בשמיים עמה, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו. והדעת היום מהשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמה, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. In the coming week and today, we honor the yahrzeits of the following: Esther Shorstein, Joseph Truman, Celia Burson, Sydney Kay, Mary Block, Leo Greenberg, Rebecca Moskowitz, Jesse Lindsay, Thelma Eisenberg, Philip Lippman, Jack Rufa, Nathan Sokol, Morris Nickel, Rose Kirsch, Rose Lacker, Virginia Yaffe, Joanne Kochman, Selma Lewis, Helen Siegel, Henry Liebson, Sophie Feldman Chalik, Joseph Parker, Sarah Newman, Harry Levine, Jacob Cohen, and Felice Ehrlich Zinner. All those who are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, I'll invite you to join me in reciting our modified Mourner's Kaddish, page 207. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divra Kiruteh Ve'amlech Malchuteh B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei zachol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru Amen. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudsha brichu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for davening alongside me this morning. I realized last week I forgot birthdays and anniversaries. I'm sorry. This week we do have a good number that I would like to wish Mazal Tov to. Happy birthday this coming week to Andy McAlexander, Dana Agranov, Mel Golden, Andrea Cohen, Lauren Spiegel, Harry Diamond, and Rebecca Sabin. Come here. We're almost at Adon Olam. And Mazal Tov to some anniversaries this week to Mark and Rebecca Geller and to Mel and Rana Golden. Mazal Tov to all of you. No major announcements for this week, right? We have some things that are happening the next week, but we'll get to them. You want to sing Adon Olam?
Yeah.
Okay. Adon Olam, page 211. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'Chefto Kom Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Imloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yiyah Betifara Vehu Yiyah Betifara Vehu Echad Ve'en Sheni Leham Shilom Lehachbira Beli Reshit Beli Tachlit Velo ha'oz v'ha'misra Velo ha'oz v'ha'misra Vehu Eli V'chai go'ali V'tzor chevli V'yetzara Vehu nisim Umanos li menat kosim Beyom ekra minat kosim Beyom ekra beyado avkin ruchi be'ed ishan ve'a'ira ve'im ruchi geviatim Adonai li velo ira Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom. You say Shabbat Shalom?
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It Ima's Sidur.
Me,
What was I doing?
David.
I was davening, that's right.
Adon
We sang Adon Olam. You like Adon Olam?
Yeah.
You missed Enka Eloheinu today. Enka Eloheinu, Enka Adonenu, Enka Malkeinu, Enka Moshienu.
My book.
That's a book.
David book.
Levi's book. Yeah, you have books. Shabbat Shalom.
David book.
Yeah, there are a lot of books. A lot of Sidurim. You want a Sidur?